Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I am joined yet again by my friend Dominic from Dom is Beast, and today we are going to be reviewing Doctor Who The Flux Series 13. Let's begin with, let's start with expectations going into this series. So Dom, what were your expectations?
I mean, I was aware of a lot of the advertising they were doing. Like, they had the Doctor's phone number that you could ring, get a little voicemail. They had the projection of a Sontaran ship above Liverpool and things like that. So I was aware that they were building up to it, making this kind of big event. So I was looking forward to it. I was very hyped. Obviously, Chibnall doesn't have the best track record with Doctor Who, so I wasn't expecting anything groundbreaking. But you know, it was a new start with the serialized nature, and I was looking forward to it. I didn't think necessarily it would be good, but I was still looking forward to just watching Doctor Who again.
Yeah, my expectations going in were very low. Series 11, I enjoyed it when it came out, but upon rewatching it, I realised it wasn't actually all that good. Series 12 was just awful. I hated that even on the first viewing. So I wasn't expecting that much. I was excited for the format of all being one story in theory, but that was the only bit really I was looking forward to. Like, Graham was the only decent part of the first two series. He had gone. I heard from a friend that John Bishop wasn't that good, so I wasn't really looking forward to Dan. So yeah, my expectations were very low.
I was quite looking forward to Dan, I have to say. I mean, my dad doesn't really like John Bishop because of his strong accent, but I just like comedians, so I'm fine with that.
So the first episode, the Halloween Apocalypse, released on Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah, first of all, I think a lot of fans had this episode is that the visuals and effects at the start were shocking. Yeah, they weren't great. It wasn't the best of starts.
Yeah, I actually, I'd seen a few people theorize this as well, and I predicted that with all the green shots of the planet in the trailer, that was going to be the opening scene. And I predicted that they were going to start like normal, and then the camera would turn and show them upside down. So I predicted the entire first scene, basically. Yeah. But yeah, it didn't look that good. But to be honest, after that first scene, I was just like, what the hell? He's got some action. He's got a bit of comedy. I like the thing with the Scottish release. That was quite funny.
Yeah.
I was ready for it after that first scene, and then you know, the episode happened.
Yeah. So then immediately after that, just reading the plots of the wiki, immediately after that scene, we meet Joseph Williamson. That
Liverpool
scene confused me. Like, I wasn't really able to follow it. Obviously, he becomes relevant later on, but at this point, just like, who the hell is this? Why are we watching him? What's the point of this being here?
Yeah, it was Chibnall doing his classic, I'll tease something that didn't needed teasing. I mean,
yeah,
this Joseph William, the entire build-up over the first 5 or so episodes where we didn't know who he was, you could have just done like in one episode, maybe what was it, Once Upon a Time, where it was the flashback episode. That would have been a great opportunity to just have that first scene at the beginning and then dot them around, and then that would have been much better. But there's a lot of things in the first episode, like Claire as well, that just got introduced but didn't mean anything.
Yeah. So after that scene, we meet Dan, or John Bishop. He thought he was introduced well. He doing a job that he's not supposed to be doing. He has a good friendship with Diane, so I thought his introduction was done well.
Yeah, the first episode was the only one that really gave Dan a lot of character work, but I still like him. He's a funny guy, John Bishop.
Yeah. So then there's another scene in the TARDIS, which, again, yeah, it sort of sets it up well, but doesn't do much more. And then I think it's after that we have the scene where Swarm escapes.
Yes, that was our first hint of Division, wasn't it? Being in this series with the Division guns.
And then I think they were. We'll talk about more later, but I think they were good villains. Like, you did sense that they did pose a real threat, as opposed to the Master in the last series.
Yeah. Given that, like Chris Chibnall said in an interview, he was like, "How do you describe Flux in one word?" And he said "swarm." And I think, given the hype that was around him and how they were set up to be the main villains throughout the series, they didn't really get their deserved screen time and threat because of everything else that was going on.
But I think the one problem with them, really, and I think it works with the Daleks for an extent. I think that's why the Daleks have fallen off in terms of how good they are, is when you have people who are so powerful, it's almost impossible to write it so that they lose, other than just they were lazy. Because they could have killed the Doctor whenever they wanted to.
Yeah, that's what Chibnall did. He decided to make an unkillable villain and a universe-destroying threat that did actually destroy the universe, and we don't even know how that's going to get resolved.
Yeah. Then we have more scenes from Dan. Yeah, and I think these were really good scenes because he works at a food bank, and then the kids come around. He's got no food in his house, but he still gives the kids sweets because he doesn't want them to be disappointed at Halloween.
Yeah.
Then
and also, of course, that gave birth to Evil Dan, and that was the best thing to come out of the universe in this studio.
Yeah. Then you have the scene where that a random old guy just shows up at his door, which seemed, I don't know why that was there.
What was that? The guy was like, "Trick or treat, man."
Yeah.
Yeah, that was in the sneak peek. That's fine. Chibnall trying to write comedy. He only did it successfully in episode 2, I reckon.
Yeah. Then the Carvanista shows up. I thought it was a good reveal.
Actually, yeah, no, that was quite funny. Carvanista as a character, I really like.
Yeah. So that was a good scene.
Yeah. And the whole idea of, Chibnall being clever. Like having a species of dogs being species bonded to humans because dog being man best friend. I was like a nice little thing there.
Yeah.
Be clever, Chris. Very clever.
Yeah. Then there's obviously the next trap the Carvanista sets for the Doctor, which is in the form of the shrinking house.
And then we get a funny poo joke.
I don't remember that one actually.
As is the guy sitting.
Oh yeah, I do now. Yeah, the guy on the toilet.
Comedy gold.
And the Doctor just goes, "Oh, sorry," as if it's so obvious that it's their fault that his house just vanished.
Yeah.
Then you have those two people in, I think it's the Arctic.
Yeah. That was the most useless thing. Like,
yes,
the man does nothing, and the sister becomes Azure. Why wasn't he just trapped with Storm at the beginning? That would have made so much sense and saved about 10 minutes of screen time, which could have been used to develop the characters.
Yeah. So then Dan wakes up on the ship, and they have a nice exchange where Dan shows them quite, I'd say, good knowledge of how to do this sort of thing on his very first trip when he has no idea what's happening, with the whole thing like, "Oh, you would have killed me already if you wanted me dead."
Yeah, it's just trying to speedrun characters.
Yeah. Then you have the whole moment with Claire, which was honestly one of my biggest gripes about the episode. Why didn't she shut the door?
Yeah. And why did she keep turning around? Like, you can eventually find where a key goes. I could do that with my eyes closed.
I'm just here. Okay, I'm here. I can close the door whenever I want, but no, I'm going to wait until I blink. Then I'll close the door. Oh, but wait, I can't because I've been sent back in time already.
I don't. I might have been on my phone during that scene, but I don't remember being scared by that at all. Like I was a bit hitting a lull in the episode by that point, and I was like, I saw quite a few reviews saying, "Oh, I was actually genuinely scared of the Weeping Angels for the first time in quite a while." No, I'm sorry.
But also, if we had actually known Claire before, again, it might have been scary because we'd actually cared about her. But we've been introduced to her a minute ago at best, and knew nothing about her other than the fact that she knows the Doctor somehow.
Yeah. Also, little fun fact. You know, she's revealed to be like a sea, like she can see the future, etc. It's because she's a clairvoyant. So Chibnall's being clever again.
Right, okay.
You're welcome. Well, thanks for listening to my TED Talk.
Then we're introduced to Vinda. Yeah, I think like the supporting cast of this season were quite good. Certainly better than the previous two series. So I like Vinda.
Yeah, Instant V Vinda. Yeah, he had quite a nice introduction.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And then I think does anything else happen this episode?
Well, I think we should talk about the cliffhanger to each episode, because then we can complain about how it was resolved.
Right, the cliffhanger of episode 1 was the Flux coming through, the Doctor standing in the way, like then to try and fire the heart of the TARDIS or something at it, which didn't work. And then she just goes, "The end of the universe. I'd always wondered what it would feel like." And then it cuts to Peter Capaldi dancing, which you should have done. It happens. I mean, as cliffhangers go, it was all right, but like, I don't think the acting was that good in the cliffhanger. It didn't have like their emotional response I feel like they were going for, or that the universe being destroyed should have done.
Yeah, you could tell it was coming, because with about 5 minutes left, they started doing quick flashes of all the people who had been introduced. We had a flash of Joseph Williamson, a flash of blah blah, a flash of blah blah.
Yeah.
And then the Flux comes into the TARDIS, and then cuts to black, and you're like, okay, well, I am interested. Like I was like, oh wow, how are they going to get out of this? And good as time as any to segue on to War of the Sontarans, we don't know, basically.
Yeah, we don't know what happens after this. I have to wait a whole week. Yeah. But we knew Earth was safe because the Carvanista ships had formed the ring, so we knew Earth would be safe. But we didn't know what would happen to the Doctor, Yaz, and Dan. So, just general thoughts on the whole episode. Throughout the first two series, I was saying I like the way Jodie's Doctor is written, and I like the way it's acted, but the writing of the episodes is very bad. And that's why she's my least favourite. I felt, but this series, but especially this episode, the first two, like, I don't think it was acted very well, and I don't think her Doctor was written very well. Like, I didn't like Jodie's Doctor in this episode at all.
Fair enough.
So overall, I'd say this episode, it was better than I expected, but still wasn't good. I'd say 4 out of 10. Yeah,
I mean, you can never know if our views have been tainted by the recent era of Doctor Who. I think I remember giving it a 7.5 or so out of 10, because even though, you know, all episodes have their flaws, but it was one of the first episodes of Jodie's era, maybe except Nicola Tesla's Night of Terror and Haunting of Villa Diodati, that I had fun with. Like, I was excited. I was on the edge of my seat for most of the episode, just because there was stuff going on. Like, obviously, there was a lot of stuff going on, made it very rushed, but it's better than talking, which is what a lot of Chibnall episodes have been.
Yeah, most Chibnall episodes have just been talking. So,
and then some alarm goes off, and then the action starts again.
So moving on, War of the Sontarans. How the cliffhanger is resolved then? Not well.
They just appear. There was an explanation. It was like, when she zapped the Flux, it mixed with the time vortex energy, and then the collision of that with them sent them back in time, and that's why Yaz and Dan got displaced. Bit of fluff, but
when they just randomly wake up on the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. The Cliffhanger was just to retain views, and he'd written himself into a hole. He'd written himself into a corner. So, I mean, what else can you do? I'm fine. If it had been a slightly better written explanation instead of just a offhanded compliment, then I'm sure it would have been accepted. So I can let it pass this time.
Yeah. So then we're introduced to Mary Seacole.
Who are you? So.
And then we get to the triangle things, which Vinda meets the triangle things.
Yeah. You must prepare.
Yeah.
So I was going to do an impression of everything you mentioned now.
Which those scenes were weird in the temple.
Temple Octopus, yeah.
Yeah. The one thing that was keeping me interested when I was watching it was I kept thinking, that looks exactly like the room in The Timeless Children on Gallifrey. So I kept on thinking, this is Gallifrey, and that was the one thing keeping me interested in those scenes. And as soon as we found out it wasn't Gallifrey, my interest was just lost completely.
Yeah, I mean, Chibnall can invent his own stuff. Like, we have the Time Lords, and then he just invented a whole other species, or whatever they are, the Mori, who apparently keep track of time instead.
Yeah.
But sure, I'll let you have this one again, Chris.
Yeah, so this episode was split into 3 parts. There was the Doctor with Mary Seacole in the Crimean War. There was Dan in Liverpool with the Sontarans, and there was Yaz in the temple with Vinda and the Mori.
And Joseph Williamson for about 10 seconds.
Yeah, again, we have another brief moment with Joseph Williamson. Has no point whatsoever. So that I think Yaz's part was the weakest. I wasn't that interested in it. I don't think it was written all that well. I guess it was a good way to introduce Vinda to some of the TARDIS crew, but that's basically all it does.
Yeah, I mean, it served its function. Its function was to introduce the temple so we could have episode 3.
Yeah.
So, sure.
And then you have the thing written on Yaz's hand, WWTDD, which I guess I can understand a companion having that written, but I don't think you need to write it on your hand.
Yeah, that as well. Also, I'm dumb. I didn't even realise what it meant until my sister told me. Like, that was quite embarrassing, because apparently everyone knew immediately.
Well, everyone always says they know immediately, and they rarely do.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
So then the Dan's part, which I enjoyed Dan's part a lot, goes on a one-man mission.
Walk.
Yeah, I guess I'll walk out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, stuff like that I can get, because like, it's not written to be funny, it's written for the character thinking he's funny, so I can live with that.
Yeah.
And then there's the Doctor in Crimea. Yeah, I think that was the strongest part of the episode. Yes, some of the dialogue was a bit questionable, but on the whole, this bit was good.
Yeah, I mean, this is my favourite episode, and everything, like, even across all 3 stories, it was balanced fine, didn't feel rushed. I don't mind quite a lot of the dialogue. I laughed out loud at quite a few bits. I wanted to ride a horse, things like that. Like,
yeah, that's the one bit of dialogue in the whole series I remember laughing at. So why did you choose Crimea? Oh, the Crimea conflict. It's full of skirmish and
bloodshed or something.
And bloodshed. And also, I wanted to ride a horse.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, much as however good that joke is, it does create a bit of a plot hole with why Sontar existed if they came in the Crimean War, but who cares? It was funny.
Sontar replaced Russia and China.
Yeah, I mean, who invented communism now? Joseph Stalin was Joseph Sontar Harlin.
Okay.
I'm quite proud of that. I just came up with it.
So then you have the whole scene with the Strax, who isn't Strax but basically is,
Yeah, Dan Stark.
getting executed for being captured, even though we brought information of the Doctor. Yeah, and then you have the charge of the Light Brigade, I think it is, which is just a complete massacre as it was in the proper timeline. What have I missed out?
The general saying that the general wanted to fight Sontarans, the Doctor saying he's wrong, and then proceeding to, in the final episode of the series, kill all the Sontarans.
Yeah, well, I'm going to come back to that later. There was a plot hole. At this point, I remember I was just looking for. You're right.
Yeah, all good.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So at this point, I was just looking for any little plot hole I could, so I could hate on Chibnall, basically. So you know how the Sontarans had to always keep on returning to the ship?
Yeah.
And
Strax didn't have time to return. Yeah.
Yeah, he was just there for weeks. He wouldn't have been able to return to get his suit refilled.
Yeah. I don't mind. I enjoyed it. Like most Doctor episodes can have plot holes if you're wanting to look for them. As long as they're enjoyable for me, I don't mind.
Yeah, and then you have the end scene where the Sontarans are leaving. The General blows all of them up, and it was Christmas Invasion Part 2.
Yeah.
So that bit was it wasn't bad. It's just a direct repeat of something. And then the cliffhanger of this was Swarm,
it was in the Temple of Atropos.
Yeah, Swarm about to send the full flood of time through Yaz and Vinda.
All in good time.
It's one of those where, yes, again, it's the same. It's a good cliffhanger, but there's no way it can be resolved in a satisfying way.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say this was the best resolved of the cliffhangers, purely because I can see it happening. I mean, obviously the way they directed it in War of the Sontarans was to make it look like, well, he did click his fingers.
Yeah.
I think if he'd been just like an external fly on the wall or whatever, and you'd just seen the scene play out in real time, I think it makes sense. So I'm quite happy. There's the one cliffhanger that I'm happy how it was resolved.
Yeah. So overall, I'd say this was the best episode of the series. I'm say 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I gave it an 8 or 8.5 or something. I really liked it.
Yeah. Again, then on to Once Upon Time, the weakest episode, in my opinion.
Maybe, sure. I don't. Yeah, I just have a favourite. I'm not sure what my least favourite is. I'll tell you when I've done the ratings for them both. Yeah,
so we're introduced to Belle, who again I liked her. She wasn't anything special, but she wasn't bad.
Yeah. I've seen the actor in a few things before, so I was aware of her.
Her story is quite good. Then we have the resolution of Cliffhanger. Again, with the Did the Doctor throw herself into the vortex or something?
No, well, she jumped on the empty pillars.
Yeah.
So she could effectively share the time force, and because she's the Doctor, she can take it.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed, first viewing, wasn't very satisfied with was this is the second episode in a row where Yaz and Dan are separated from the Doctor.
Yeah.
It just seems they want the Doctor alone, so they're doing everything they can to separate Yaz and Dan, but they always have to resolve it at the end of every episode for some reason.
Yeah, this could have been a companion light series. We could have had Yaz, say, leaving, maybe even just temporarily with Rana Graham. He didn't need Dan, much as he's funny and I like him in basically all the episodes.
Even though he's one of the best characters.
Yeah, I think it would have been more like intimate if it had just been the Doctor and like her search to obviously find out about the division, etc., etc.
Yeah. Yeah. So Yaz and Dan are like in their own minds or something.
Yeah. Getting displaced to their own timeline.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, John. The Doctor explained this. I made a whole YouTube video on it about how the Doctor explained exactly what was going on, so the viewer could, be spoon-fed it instead of having to work it out themselves.
Yeah, and then the Doctor lives through a pre-Hartnell adventure, which you know my thoughts on this by now. I don't like it.
How long have you got? 40 minutes for you to rant?
I mean, I can do, but I don't really want to. Yeah, lives through a Joe Martin life. I will explain more about why I don't think Chibnall was right to do this later. But it's not just I don't like the Timeless Child, why I don't like this going on. Like I said, I'll explain more at the end of the video.
Okay. As a not too Classic Who heavy fan, I don't mind it. Sure, it's fun. It was quite nice to see the companions playing other people and like, seeing them flip between, etc., etc.
Then I'd say the one plus about I think the one thing this episode actually contributes to the overall storyline is the Grand Serpent's introduced.
Yes.
And we find out why Vinder and Val were separated.
I mean, to be honest, I think it makes sense. Like what Vinder did, obviously, it makes sense to why he's suitable to be a companion. I mean, he's got a completely perfect moral compass. Why wouldn't he be a Doctor Who companion?
Yeah. Yeah. So there's that. I think it's pretty much all that happens this episode. Like I said, not a very strong episode. In my opinion, the weakest.
And a completely unsubtle plug for Edge of Reality, the VR game. That was disrespectful, to say the least.
Yeah, so I'd say 2 out of 10.
No, I think I gave this one still like a 5 or 6 or so, because if it moves at a fast pace, I don't mind. It kept me a bit entertained. Although there's also, with that video game scene, someone pointed out of a viewer I watched that they were both playing video games and there was one person on the screen controlling. So, little plot hole there. Yeah. Because I know you love plot holes in Chibnall episodes.
Yeah, so Cliffhanger was the Angel's got the TARDIS. The Angel has the phone box.
The Angel has the phone box, yeah.
Finally. Only took them, 13 years? So yeah, that I reckon again it was a good cliffhanger. Yeah, not entirely satisfied at the resolution, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I mean, I think the resolution's all a bit bad because the cliffhangers are so cliffhangery.
Yeah,
like. Of course, if you're going to have such an extreme thing as a Weeping Angel having control of the TARDIS, the resolution chat is always going to be a bit anticlimactic.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I don't like... Chibnall's really taking blinking too far. Like, the whole point was that the Weeping Angels can move when you blink, not the Weeping Angels can only move if you blink. Because I don't know, every single time... Oh, well, that's in a later episode. But the Doctor's like, "Oh, look, I'm blinking. You can move." It's like you could just close your eyes. But as I've rambled on there, I don't really know what I'm saying.
Yeah. So on to Village of the Angels, which everyone said is the best episode, and like I can sort of understand, but I felt a bit confused watching this because it's like everything a good episode needs is there. It's all there.
Yeah.
It just didn't quite work for me, and I don't know why.
It's like it's well written. Like a base under siege story with the Weeping Angels sounds perfect, and it is well written apart from the weird plot holes and like the annoying old couple, etc., etc. I didn't enjoy it. I was thinking I was on my phone half the time just because I was bored.
Yeah, so the best thing about this episode is that we're introduced to Professor Eustachius Jericho, who is the best character in the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got to make a Big Finish series about him. I don't care that he's dead. We need a Big Finish series about him.
Yeah, there'll be like a prologue series.
Yeah. So the main plot of this episode is Yaz and Dan are searching for a girl called Peggy and get sent back to 1901, I think it is.
Yeah.
While the Doctor is with Jericho and Claire, who's come back, trying to stop the Angels. Again, like I said, everything's there to make a good episode, but it's just not quite.
I think you can give credit to Maxine Alderton for writing the good bits of the episode, but something didn't click for me. Although I think Claire's backstory is explained quite nicely, like the fact that she's a clairvoyant, a seer, and how she picks the Weeping Angel, so Weeping Angel got in her mind. That's quite tidy. It reminds me of Haunting of Villa Diodati, where all the ghosts was because, I can't quite remember, but because someone was in another dimension or like trapped somewhere, and everything wraps up nicely and it makes sense. And I think that's definitely Maxine Alderton. Like, she's quite a talented writer at like giving hints and stuff, but then explaining them really well.
Yeah. So I think also on this ship, Belle continues her search of Vinda. It's almost like I like seeing Belle, but I don't get why it had to be spread out over multiple episodes. Like, I don't think she does anything significant this episode.
She meets Neil from the In-Betweeners.
Oh wait, is this the episode where she
with the bad green screen?
Pardon?
With the bad green screen.
Yeah, is it? That's what I was thinking of. The one where she lands on a planet full of people.
Yeah, and they all get collected by passenger.
Okay, yeah, that bit was good.
Oh, Neil. So.
Anything else happen this episode? Oh yeah, the Weeping Angels have a voice.
Oh god, oh no! I didn't mind Angel Bob. I know quite a few people don't like Angel Bob, but this was awful.
I understand it when the Doctor was in Claire's mind. Then when she's talking to the Angel and the Angel's talking back, I can live with it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have exposition somehow. Yeah.
But when the Angels are just randomly talking to Jericho, and this isn't even in anyone's head, it's just apparently Angels have been able to speak all along.
Yeah. I mean, like, they used Angel Bob because they snapped his neck because his voice box or whatever. In the context of the story, it made a bit of sense.
Yeah.
I don't like it here at all. So yeah, I audibly groaned when it started talking. I was like, oh. And then, spoilers for the next episode, when, like, right at the beginning of the next episode, when she's in the massive army of angels, they talk to her again. And it's even worse then, because she can deduce things herself, but she has to ask questions. Yeah, no, thank you. Anyway, rant over.
Yeah, so there's sort of like a double cliffhanger. Obviously, there's the big one of the Doctor turning into a Weeping Angel, where I think, in theory, the cliffhanger's good, but
yeah,
I think it was sort of done the wrong way. I think it sort of had a freezing and then turning to stone, rather than turning to stone as she's still moving around, because that just looked a bit goofy.
What having the angel going out of her? I guess so. That's not my biggest complaint. My biggest complaint is that, much as, you know, it's a good cliffhanger, it's probably one of the best cliffhangers of the series, I felt nothing. I don't know why. I felt no stakes because of the letdowns of the previous 3 episodes.
Also, we just don't care about Jodie's Doctor.
Well, that's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, it was, you could tell that it wasn't going to mean anything, even though they showed her in Stone in the Next Time trailer.
Yeah, because it's just like, at the end of the episode, it's just like, okay, that's the end of Doctor Who. She's turned into a Weeping Angel. No more. That's the end.
Yeah.
And then like the other end to the episode, I think it was like in sort of like a mid-credits scene.
Oh yeah, they
is-
had like weird music, didn't it?
Yeah, it's like a Vinda finding this person that Belle saved. And then, have you seen Belle? He says, yeah. And he goes off and follows her. And there's the guy, I don't even remember his name, who is clearly like all alone. No one else is
Chana Kushanku.
something like that.
That's not his name.
And he's like very clearly regretting the fact he didn't go with Belle. So why doesn't he go with Vinda?
Oh, you and your plot hole search, John.
I mean, that's not even a search. I wasn't even searching for that. It's just, why does he not go with Vinda? He's clearly lonely there. He clearly wants to get off. He's got a chance now. Why doesn't he?
Why aren't you just fully invested in the love story, John? They're two lovers trying to reunite with each other because one's pregnant. Just focus on that and not on the glaring plot holes.
Yeah, so I honestly don't know with this one what to rank it. Maybe 4 or 5 out of 10.
This is Village of the Angels they're doing, isn't it?
Yeah, I'll go 5.
6.5.
Yeah, I think it's better than the Halloween Apocalypse because everything to make a good story is there. It's just not executed. So yeah, I'm going 5 out of 10.
Yeah, in terms of pure enjoyment, I think I rated Halloween Apocalypse higher. But yeah, I wanted to like this one, but I couldn't bring myself to.
Yeah. Then we come to episode 5, Survivors of the Flux. And so the cliffhanger's resolved by the Doctor just walking through the field of angels, isn't it?
Yeah, she literally. So obviously that's the cliffhanger, and then the episode starts by her going, "Oh, I'm okay now." Thanks for that.
I mean, I would say the biggest letdown ever, but we have quite a few contenders for that title in this series.
Mainly Chris not being named showrunner of Doctor Who. So Chris, I do like you, and some of your work's good.
I like your Torchwood stuff. Yeah, so this episode, again, Yaz and Nan are separated from the Doctor. Like 4 episodes in a row now. I mean, yeah, this one's technically like the same as the last one. It's carried over. They never like got back together. Well, they sort of did, but again,
I remember. Yeah.
This whole series was, how many ways can we separate Yaz and Dan from the Doctor? And again, this episode I think was split into 2 parts. There was the Doctor at Division with Tecteun, and then there was Yaz, Dan, and the Professor. Again, I really loved Yaz, Dan, and Professor. Their scenes were great, apart from that weird guy on the top of the mountain or whatever.
I'm teasing you! I'm teasing you again! What's the gossip hook is to? Yeah, that was a bit random.
Yeah.
A lot of people liked him, actually.
Yeah, so I loved their scenes. I didn't like the Doctor's scenes with Tecteun at all.
Is that just because you don't like Time's Child?
No. Well, it contributes to it, but even if the Timeless Child wasn't referenced at all, the scenes are boring and add nothing.
Yeah.
The only good...
They have the chance... He tries the chance to explain Division, and he goes, "It's simple, yet indescribable."
The only good thing about Division is they have oods. And you always love an ood.
Always love an ood.
Yeah, and then...
We love the ood.
So I thought, okay, this is good. This is an okay episode. It has good bits and it has awful bits. So about middle of the road. And then I realised the good bits have no effect whatsoever to anything.
Like all their stuff, all Yaz, Dan, and Jericho stuff about finding Carbonista doesn't matter because Carbonista can't travel back in time. And also, another weird thing is that they went to the Great Wall of China to paint this because the Great Wall of China can be seen from space.
Well, they can't.
But even if the Great Wall of China can be seen from space, it doesn't mean you don't have to put your text next to the Great Wall of China. You could just put your text anywhere and make it that big.
Yeah. And I mean, but it was a good message, though. What's the point of being alive that they painted? It was a great message.
God's sake, John. Also, they wrote it on both sides. Like, they've had to write it. They were like Carvanista. And then they went all the way around to the other side of the wall and then said, fetch your dog. Fetch your human.
It's just so stupid.
Yeah. I could have just sent him a text message.
Well,
in 1903.
Yeah, so, is that all that happens this episode? Or do Vinder and... Oh, no, there's a whole unit thing. The unit thing. The unit timeline
dating
is...
controversy.
The timeline's already a mess.
Yeah,
so what does Chibnall do? He writes in some more mess. Which, there are two, like, timelines that it can be one of these two timelines. Whichever one it is, unit is established between the Web of Fear and the Invasion, which are two Patrick Troughton stories. Chibnall has unit set up in 1958, well before the first Hartnell story. It's stupid. And also, if you like follow it through, watch the Patrick Troughton stories. The first one when the Brigadier's a colonel in the British Army, and then the next one where he's the Brigadier of Unit. It's very clear unit was established between those two stories, and the Brigadier was immediately recruited as a Brigadier. He was recruited to run unit when it was established. What does Chibnall do? He takes a voice clip of Nicholas Courtney saying, this is Lethbridge Stewart, get me the RAF please, whatever it is, places it in the episode and says, that's our new corporal. Brought him in after we missed the whole War Machines episode with William Hartnell, Ben and Polly. And like, first off, unit didn't exist then. Second, the Brigadier's not going to be a colonel, be demoted to a corporal when he joins unit, and then get back up to the Brigadier in what is at most 4 years. Because that's how long it is between a Web of Fear and the Invasion. Right, rant over, sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
Like, it's not a massive thing, because like I said, the unit timeline's already a mess. But for me, it wasn't so much the fact he got it was wrong. It was the fact that this shows Chibnall doesn't care about Classicu. If he's just directly getting the dates wrong without even looking up anything that would tell him he could get it right.
I mean, as you know, a noob New Who fan, how can you care about that? We got Kate Stewart. For like,
I mean, it was fun to see Kate. So the cliffhanger.
I just did what the Doctor did in episode 6. Kate Stewart, and then moved on.
What even was the cliffhanger of this episode?
It was all like the Sontarans and the Grand Serpent working together, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, Sontarans coming into Earth because the Carvanista shield was damaged. Right. Then so I'd say, like I said, I was going to give it like 5 out of 10 until I realised that the good bits have no effect on the plot whatsoever, so it's going down to 3 out of 10.
I can't remember what I gave it. I'll say maybe like 5 or 6, 5.5.
Okay. So moving on to the final episode, The Vanquishers.
Yeah.
And we finally have some context and payout to Joseph Williams. Finally. But first off, how the cliffhanger was resolved. The Doctor just ran away.
No, the cliffhanger was Yaz, Dan, and Jericho in the Williamson tunnels, and then Sontarans burst in. That was the cliffhanger.
Yeah. Oh, and there was also didn't Swarman Azure like kill Tecteun or something?
Yeah, they did that, and they said, that was the exact cliffhanger. They were like, don't worry, we'll get you too. And they like walked up to her and they were about to touch her.
And not the resolution was the Doctor running away.
Yeah, and then the guy was like, open door 9. They opened door 9, and door 9, because it's really nice, it only killed the Sontarans, because it's very helpful. Door 9 brings death and destruction, but it's also very helpful to the protagonists.
Yeah, so Again, so a good thing about this episode, the Ood has something to do, which
Yeah,
is
Ood saves the
good.
day. Unsung
Yeah.
hero.
Then they get the fob watch of all of the Doctor's memories. That I think that was like neat as a way to like bribe sort of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Like I don't like what the watch contains, but I can appreciate the storytelling used with
It's
it.
tidy. It's nice. I think to be like overall with this episode, obviously he had a swear ton of stuff to tie in and like tie up all the loose ends, etc., etc. I think it was okay. I think we had Joseph Williamson done. Fob Watch, that's all kind of fine. We got to explain that the Flux was by division, although that doesn't really make sense. Swarm and Azure, we know their motives in this episode, so it's kind of okay. But because everything had to be wrapped up, there isn't much of a story. It's the same as Time as Children, where we get a massive exposition dump. We get a nice little script reading by some people in makeup and crystals on their head in a black and white town with a broken house, and that's about it.
Yeah. So one thing, I with this episode, I get it's supposed to be a bit jerky because the Doctor's like not fully there, but the editing was terrible.
I'm in a new place now.
Yeah. I just think like I get it was supposed to be jerky, but it was just hard to watch. And I think even bits that, like I think you said, there was a moment where Dan just randomly moved from next to Yaz to next to Kate.
A few continuity errors which weren't helped by the choppy editing. Yeah.
And then this maybe like Kate, I guess, does something, but she comes back and she doesn't have anything to do really. Like the only reason this is Kate is so people who liked the Moffat era would stay. Yeah. That's the only reason she's here, and it's not Diane or someone.
Yeah.
Diane and Vinda escape from wherever they are, which I thought was neat. Diane definitely improved as a character in the total of 2 episodes that she actually had anything to do in.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing how spending time alone can help you learn about, space, the universe, and everything.
Yeah. Right. What else? Oh, yeah. The Lupari, the last of his kind, which, it's a neat plot thread to use. I just think they could have done more of it.
Yeah.
Like, especially since the Doctor went through 3 regenerations of thinking he was the last of his kind. And there's just nothing done between her and Lupari about this.
Yeah, I mean, I think Chibnall's played us a bit by saying, "Oh, Carvanista can't talk about it." But sure, I mean, it's
Carvanista being a companion. I forgot about that.
Yeah, I think given the guy's in like a massive prosthetic dog face, I think he acts his emotion quite well. I think Carvanista was, he's got a bit teary. So it's like,
and then I think with the whole 2 Jodie Whittaker thing, like again, I get what they were going for, but it didn't work. Like the whole I have such a crush on her. Like they had enough. They had nothing. That was just cringy as swear word. It just did not.
I didn't mind it. This is a bit fun. I don't mind.
Yeah. What else? Oh yeah. So like throughout the series, I thought Chibnall wrote the Sontarans well. He actually made them a threat again. Worf's Sontarans, they actually showed that they are the greatest warrior race in the galaxy. This episode, they show some strategy in tricking the Daleks and Cybermen. And then he ruins it with the chocolate scene.
Yeah. Hang on there. Hang on, my friend. Hang on, my friend. Look what I've just been getting up in the background.
You're right.
Comedy gold, Christopher Gibnall.
One of the worst scenes of the series that ruined the one thing I was actually going to give him praise for. Yeah, so we obviously have Jericho's death. It's just one of the things I can applaud him for doing it. It's like, obviously I would have liked him to survive, but when you have a good side character, you kind of have to kill him off.
Yeah,
otherwise everyone would be like, oh, why didn't they come in the TARDIS? They were so good. If you kill him off, you have an excuse.
Yeah, I predicted it for the episode. I was like, Jericho's going to die. We all know it's going to happen. And then he died in a stupid way. He threw his ring. Like, no, he didn't throw it. He's trying to get it off. He chucked it, and it landed on the floor, exactly in the path of a Sontaran laser. And given that in War of the Sontarans, 5 of them couldn't hit Dan from a meter away, that's bloody impressive.
Yeah.
Unless they were aiming for Jericho and they hit the floor about 2 meters in front of him.
Yeah. So, anything else happened? Oh yeah, so then you have the resolution with time, which I couldn't really follow. I mean, I might have just not been paying attention at this point. I
mean, Chibnall was trying to be too Moffat-y. He was trying to be a bit too poetic. Oh, the battle between space as a force and time as a force, and then time manifested itself as Swarm, and then Swarm was like, oh, we tried to do your bidding, Time. We tried to, harness you, but we failed a bit. So Time was like, bad boy, a bad girl, and he evaporated them. So that was them out of the story. What was the point of them? And then the Time manifested itself as the Doctor, because it was talking to the Doctor, it manifests as whoever it's talking to. And then it really subtly, like so subtly, tells us blatantly that the Master is going to be in the next specials. Right, yeah.
So, one thing is like, it's very clear, like, Chibnall's like, right, I've written these 2 really all-powerful people. I need to do something with them so they don't always just come back with fantastic, oh, why aren't they here?
I'll just kill them with some blue dots. That's literally what happened.
Yeah, and then then everything wraps up. Belle and Vindo reunite. They get their dog. Diane has some character growth in that she's not just that loser crushing on Dan anymore. She actually rejects his drink offer.
How though? I mean, growth. John Bishop, what a hunk.
It's just a nice character growth. And Dan joins the Doctor and Yaz.
For lots of fun. They actually say fun adventures, and half the universe is completely destroyed.
Yeah, they stopped the flux, but the universe is still mostly destroyed at this point. They didn't even fix it. So I'm Chibnall's just gonna leave that unfixed. I'm sure he is, but
he did also while casually setting up a multiverse as well. Let's not forget that.
Yeah. So then we have the end of it, and it was hinted in what's the last Revolution of the Daleks. It was hinted at there and hinted at the end of episode 6. They're sort of setting up a romance between the Doctor and Yaz.
Oh yeah.
You obviously know
they had a bed in the TARDIS as well in episode 1.
You obviously know how I feel about Doctor companion romances. Long story short,
and
I
this
don't
one's lesbian.
I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
So I hate Doctor companion relationships. This is no exception. It's no setup really. And then again, another reason why I like Dan, he interrupted them as they were probably about to kiss. And it's like, sorry, did you say right or left? And
there's an audible sigh of, oh no, now we can't make out.
I'm one of the reasons why I love Dan. And then, okay, so I said earlier, I think it was during episode 3, I'd say why I didn't like Chibnall expanding on the Timeless Child, other than the fact you just don't like the Timeless Child. And here's the thing, I think he did the ending quite well, because obviously the Doctor like banished the fob watch deep into the TARDIS, put this somewhere I can never find it after a long pause, unless I really ask for it. Yeah, again, as much as I don't like the Timeless Child, I think this is done quite well, because we knew this was Chibnall's last series. Russell T's coming back. Chibnall should have left everything open, because the last thing you want to do as a showrunner is force your successor into one thing they have to do when they can't reverse out of. If he had written the Timeless Child into absolute concrete fact, Russell T had to go along with it whether he wanted to or not, which is why I don't think he should have really expanded on it this series, and why I think the ending is good, because he's getting rid of the immediate problem with the Timeless Child, so Russell T doesn't have to deal with it, but he's still leaving the option open for him to come back if he wants to.
I think it's at the end of the Timeless Children, well, like not the end, the climax, the Joe Martin Dr. Vision's like, oh, you've never been defined by your past, your whatever, whatever she says, like you are you now, do what you want to do with it. The Doctor learns her lesson, she's like, yeah, I'm the Doctor, go me. And then beginning of episode 1 again, she's back to her normal self, like, oh my god, I need to find out about my history. And then she relearns the lesson all over again. I mean, it's a bit lazy. I don't mind it particularly as much as I've seen other people reviewing that have, but I would rather have some action and stakes and death than just backstory.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna go, the idea behind the Timeless Child I don't mind, but making it the Doctor is what ruins it.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think it could work with the Doctor with a really solid explanation. Like the idea, maybe the division I don't mind, but the Timeless Child is a bit of a bad idea.
Like the idea that there's this child that the Time Lords essentially murdered over and over again to get the secret behind regeneration, that bit's good. Making the Doctor, it like doesn't, I don't think it directly goes against Classic Who, but it creates quite a lot of problems that have to be explained. And also it just takes the whole tone of the series away from the Doctor was this renegade who went against her own people, to the Doctor's this chosen one who was always destined for greatness.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we'll never know, but I think it could have been done more justice under a better writer. Yeah,
it definitely could have been. I think obviously a lot of people would have still been annoyed however well it was done, but they would have like been less annoyed if it was done well.
Yeah.
So I think that brings us to the end of the review. Top 3 characters this series?
In no particular order, Vinda, Jericho, Dan.
Yeah, I reckon that those are my 3 as well. Because
all the funny guys.
Jericho definitely number 1, Dan definitely number 2. Probably Vinda 3rd. I mean, he's not amazing, but there's no one else really.
I'll probably go Dan, Jericho, Vinda, but yeah.
Yeah. And that brings us to the end of the review. So I'd say definitely better than Series 12. I don't know whether or not it's better than Series 11. I'd say at the moment I probably prefer Series 11, but that might change.
Don't mind me, I'm just snacking.
Yeah. So my ranking of the episodes then, I remember it went from
6th first, obviously.
What? From worst to best. I'd go, so it was Once Upon a Time, Survivors of the Flux, The Halloween Apocalypse, what was the other one called? Village of the Angels, The Vanquishers, which was I gave 6 out of 10 to. I haven't actually said that yet, and War of the Sontarans.
To be honest, I can't remember where one episode starts and one episode begins. Like Survivors of the Flux and the Vanquishers. I don't really know. I'd say probably. Yeah, Survivors of the Flux, Once Upon a Time, Village of the Angels, Vanquishers, Halloween Apocalypse, War of the Sontarans.
Okay. So we've agreed on the best episode then.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so that does this time bring us to the end of the review. Thanks to Dom for joining me. I will link his channel down below. He has found some success recently. He's got a Horrible Histories video that reached, how many views is it on now?
About 6.5k.
6.5k. So obviously,
so if you like Horrible Histories, then go watch it, and if you don't, go watch it anyway.
Yeah, so check out his channel. He has some more stuff, not just Horrible Histories. I will link it down below. Thank you for watching. I will see you next time.